What's going on, everybody? I hope you enjoyed that new intro made by my mom. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. Just so y'all know who you're watching, okay? It's your boy Birds in the Trap MMA. Alright, and I'm back with another banger. Today we're going to be going over my official Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev breakdown and prediction, okay? Now, if you guys can see my messages here, you might see where this is going, okay? The way we're going to do this is going to be my first actual detailed breakdown and prediction video. In the past, I've just kind of spent a few minutes explaining each fight and then just picking someone. But, you know, I got an audience now and I want to do this a little more official. So I'm going to be giving you kind of where each guy is at in their career, their strengths and their weaknesses right now. And then from there, I'm going to be talking about how I think each guy can win. And then I'm ultimately going to give you the prediction, all right? So let's not waste any more time, and let's get into Kamaru Usman, okay? Where is Kamaru Usman at in his career? All right, he's coming off of 2 losses to the new welterweight champion, Leon Edwards. And after rewatching Kamaru Edwards 3, Kamaru Edwards, Usman Edwards 3, I hate to say it, man, but his takedowns, they didn't look good, you know, and there's a few factors for that. You know, it could be because he ran into that fight pretty quickly after getting knocked out. He took like 6 months, but I mean, it was a brutal KO, and I'm sure that thought was still lingering in his head. So I don't know how confident he actually was in that fight, but his takedowns, they looked sloppy and they looked lethargic. He only had 2 or 3 really good ones, but the entries were sloppy on all of them, and Leon did do a really good job at negating them. Now, something that I think is worth mentioning is that they both have welterweight speed, okay? These are 2 welterweights moving up, and you guys know, the smaller the division, the faster. It's constantly being proven. Just this last weekend, okay? Michel Pereira knocking out Andre Petroski in the first minute. That was insane. You know, it's that welterweight speed. And I think the speed is going to be pretty even between those guys, but Khamzat is just a really imposing force. You know, he's a lot bigger than Usman, so I don't know if Usman is necessarily going to be able to get the takedowns off or even get close enough to get them off. You know what I mean? Now, I like that Usman didn't have a super long and super grueling training camp because Kamaru Usman is an injury-prone guy. You know what I mean? He's always having problems with his knees. If you guys have been a long-time viewer of the channel, you know that a few months ago I made a video where I was basically talking about how Usman is deteriorating pretty quickly, and I feel like he's going to have a Tyron Woodley-like fall because he still thinks he's the best. He's going to keep trying to beat the best guys, and he's just going to keep getting himself beat. And ultimately in that video I said if he fights Khamzat next, he's going to lose, okay? And he's fighting Khamzat next, so I mean, that's not my prediction, you know what I mean? Keep watching, but I did say that Usman is on the downfall of his career, and a lot of people called me crazy in the comments. They said I was over-exaggerating, but I think we're going to see it here, guys. But I like that he didn't have an 8-week long, grueling training camp where he is, you know, sparring a lot, taking leg kicks, you know, getting wrestled heavy. You know, I think it's good that he's kind of just walking into this because obviously he knows how to fight and he's not going to be all banged up. You know what I mean? And not to mention, guys, he also had hand surgery after the second Edwards fight. He had a hand surgery, all right? Now, not the last point, but something worth mentioning is how much is Usman really improving these days? Now, I know that he was the pound-for-pound number 1 and he already was the best in the world, so there's not really much to improve there, you know what I mean? But Khamzat is a young, motivated guy with way more room for improvement. I think people don't realize that Gilbert Burns fight, that was his 11th pro fight against the second-rate contender. Like, people be like, oh, his striking was horrible. Imagine what so-and-so would do to him. And I'm like, yo, like, he still has a lot of time to improve and mature in his fighting, and I think that's what he's been working on recently. No doubt about it. So, and, you know, again, I think Usman is going on a bit of a slide. Now, I'm going to get into some positives, okay? I think there is a good chance that Kamaru's chin might be a little better since he's moving up in weight, and he's not going to have to cut the extra 15 pounds. His chin might be pretty intact, Edwards obviously knocked him out, and then he cracked it quite a bit in their third fight, and he hasn't fought since then. So granted, he's not coming off of a KO, but he's getting hit more than he used to, you know what I mean? And also his power might be a little bit better. Now the power I'm not as sure on as I am the chin, but the power could be there. Usman is known for his power at 170. I mean, look at this picture. He's a very strong guy. He has multiple KOs in his career, but it's just something to think about. All right, now I also think his strength and conditioning is more likely to hold up throughout 3 rounds, more likely than Khamzat. Okay, I think obviously he has the 5-round experience. Obviously he has the better gas tank and the better energy management. But is it even going to matter? Okay, because now we're going to be talking about Khamzat Chimaev. Okay, I think Khamzat is coming into this fight with a point to prove. All right, I think that he's taken over a year off, and I don't want to say people have. Actually, I am going to say people have kind of been disrespecting Khamzat Chimaev. They've been saying oh, he's overhyped. He's this, he's that. For who he has fought, I mean, are we going to act like he's not one of the best in the world from what we've seen? Now, sure, you can talk about, if Gilbert gave him a tough fight, imagine what Izzy would do. But it's guys, styles make fights. You know what I mean? The year's off. I'm sure he's been getting better. So, yeah, I think there's no way he doesn't take this much time off and is not more improved, okay? Now, second point is he's been training for a physical beast like Paulo Costa, okay? Paulo Costa, although he's not too skilled, he's a tough out for anyone, all right? He's a very strong and imposing guy. Doesn't necessarily have one-shot KO power, but he has a good sprawl on him. Romero couldn't take him down, but Rockhold could, so I think he's getting worse. But I think that Khamzat Chimaev, he's been getting ready for this division for months, you know what I mean? I think his strength is going to be on par with most middleweights. I think he's going to be similar size as most middleweights, you know what I mean? And I think his takedowns are going to be on point. And by takedowns, I don't necessarily mean single leg, double leg. Usman has really good defense for all of those, as we know. Usman has only been taken down officially once, and it was by Edwards. But that was a body lock inside trip, or outside trip, I don't know. But he tripped him over. You guys know what I'm talking about. So I think that is how Chimaev is going to get him to the ground, okay? The body lock and then the trip, I think, is going to be way more successful than shooting a single or a double, okay? This man has one-shot KO power at middleweight. I believe the Ikram Aliskerov fight was at middleweight, and obviously Gerald Meerschaert pulled guard on him. I gotta let that joke go for this. He KO'd Meerschaert in 20 seconds, one shot, fight over. He has the power, guys. And yeah, I kind of mentioned this already, but both men are going to have the welterweight speed and skill. But I think Khamzat is a natural middleweight who was killing himself to make welterweight, whereas Usman is a natural welterweight who's kind of doesn't even get the chance to bulk up for this fight. You know what I mean? He's just going into this fight without cutting the extra weight. So, there's that. And then, one other thing I want to say, I look at Khamzat Chimaev as an absolute Terminator. You know what I mean? I think he's, if there was a grappling version of Mike Tyson, where he just, goes in there, imposes his will, and mauls people, I think it's Khamzat. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And if he doesn't finish Usman, I will be disappointed, because that will mean he is not who I think he is. I think of Khamzat as someone who has a pretty good chance to go in there and finish anybody in the first round or two. You know what I mean? If he were to fight Izzy, I'd pick him to submit Izzy. If he were to fight Leon, I'd pick him to submit Leon. So if he doesn't get Usman out of there, I will not be very impressed, even if he still wins. But if it's anything like the Burns fight, guys, I think we're going to have to pump the brakes on Chimaev, and I will agree that the hype is died down. You know what I mean? But But as of right now, I still think he's a mauler. Now, I will openly say that I don't trust Khamzat to go 15 minutes. Now, now that I'm saying this out loud, maybe I do because he's not killing himself to make welterweight. At 185, he might be able to, just have better cardio in general. But I think that the difference will be that he knows, he's been knowing that he's moving up in weight, and he's kind of embraced the bulk. He's still going to be cutting weight to 185, and that might affect his cardio, Now, don't get me wrong, Usman is still going to cut weight, but not as much. You know what I mean? He hasn't been bulking for all these months. And the last point is I think Usman has a very low chance of taking down Khamzat Chimaev these days. Khamzat is the bigger guy. What's Usman going to do? Shoot a sloppy, lazy double leg on him? I think Khamzat is going to see that coming from a mile away. You know what I mean? Now, let's get into how does each guy win. Okay? Now, I just want to say, and I feel the need to say this because of the fights we've seen this year, obviously anyone can chin anybody. Everyone has a puncher's chance in 2023. Okay? So I'm just putting that out there in case my pick goes south. I know either guy can win, and I'm giving you a fair explanation, okay? Kamaru, his game plan to winning, he has to lose the first round, okay? That's when Khamzat is most dangerous. He has to let Khamzat exert a lot of energy in the first round and just avoid being finished, you know what I mean? Maybe if he gets you down, it's okay, but don't get submitted, and obviously don't overextend on any shots because someone as long and rangy as Khamzat will be able to counter you all day. Now, in the second and third round, Kamaru is going to have to pick it up with the body shots, okay? Body shots, early second round, try and get Khamzat to lower the hands and just, land shots, pick them apart, ultimately winning a 29-28 decision. And since it's in Abu Dhabi, it'd probably be a split decision because they're going to be biased for their guys. So that's how I think Kamaru is going to win this. For Khamzat, I'm telling Khamzat, go batshit crazy, okay? Rely on your brute force and your insane finishing ability and try to walk Usman onto something after feinting some takedowns, If Usman has a pattern that he keeps relying on and falling back to, find an answer to it, whether it be a counter, maybe a knee, maybe an uppercut, and just let it rip, okay? Let it rip and knock him out. Now, also, I want to mention that I see a world where the grappling is very even between the two, and they are forced to stand, similar to the Kamaru and Colby fight. But that all depends on the strength of Usman, because I think Khamzat will easily be the stronger man in there. But if Usman can compete with him as far as strength, I can see this being a pretty even fight on the feet until someone really cracks the other. You know what I mean? So, there we go. Now, my official prediction, guys, Khamzat Chimaev, round 2, knockout. I see a lot of people picking it in the first round. I'm going to tell you guys how I see this fight going, okay? Because it could be in the first round, but I'm picking second round, and I'm picking early second round. So it could be late first round, okay? I think the first round, they're going to test each other up on the feet up until the last minute or two. One of them is going to shoot, and I see a scramble and possibly an exchange of takedowns. I think there's a chance they might both get each other down at some point and just kind of cartwheel on the ground together, you know what I mean? And I think that will then piss off, I said them right here, ignore that, guys. I think that's going to piss off Chimaev. He's going to be like, why is this guy still here, brother? Brother, come on. And then I think he's going to feint 2 to 3 takedowns in the second round before eventually, and like I said, this could be in the first round, before catching Usman with a devastating uppercut, the same one that flatlined Ikram Aliskerov in their fight from a few years back. Now, something I want to say is, if Chimaev has been working on his striking, I can see him having a more diverse striking arsenal, so we can exchange this uppercut for a flying knee, guys. We haven't seen Chimaev really throw flying knees, but I'm sure if he can time it, he'll do it. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's landed it in sparring. So, yeah, I think if things aren't going Chimaev's way on the feet. He will be able to land a takedown and threaten subs because Usman is kind of a fish out of water on his back. I mean, if you have Leon Edwards who's almost submitting you, like he's getting pretty close with threatening it, I think Khamzat's going to finish that. You know what I mean? So I think Khamzat can finish this fight. I think it's going to be by knockout, but I think he can finish it by submission as well. Okay? And if he does it by submission, I'm still going to take that as a win for my pick. All right? Because I'm not saying Chimaev is going to choose which one to do. I think he'll do whatever he sees, and I think he'll see the knockout first. But I think Usman, his submission defense has not been tested besides his second fight with Edwards. And I think Chimaev will test it and break it, okay? That is my official prediction, guys. Who do you have winning this fight? All right, this fight is way more intriguing than the Twitter champion, Paulo Costa, who, guys, don't be nice to Paulo Costa. He was never going to show up to this fight. He blasted his injury all over social media to be like, guys, I'm really trying to make it to the fight, but I just can't. The doctors are pulling me. I think his plan was always to pull out, okay? And I was picking Khamzat to beat Costa, all right? So, with that being said, guys, that's the end of the video. And I want to say thank you for 1,000 subs, okay? I can't believe that the channel is doing this well. We had quite a few months of just, 2 subs a week. But I kept pushing through, all right? I'm doing this because I want to. And I'm just happy that you guys are enjoying it, all right? So I got more bangers coming this week. I got my main event prediction and then my full card predictions. And then I got a special banger that I'm probably going to drop in the middle of the week. It has nothing to do with UFC 294, but I think it'll do pretty well for the channel. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.